What's going on, my eaters? It's your boy Chef Drew, AKA Big Chef, AKA Chef, AKA, well, y'all know how it goes. Welcome to the Eating Chambers this week. This week, when I was thinking about this episode, I'm like, what am I gonna give my eaters this week? What can I give to educate them or excite them or empower them? And I figured it out. Here's the question. When the chef is in the kitchen and he's doing what he does, he's chefing, what is the single most important resource a chef uses? What do you think that is? I bet you don't know what I'm gonna say. Welcome to the Eating Chambers this week, guys. We're gonna answer this question. But before we get into that, I need you to do me a favor. Like, subscribe, do all the things so you can help us continue to bring you guys this content. Let's get it. The single most important resource a chef has at his disposal. Guys, I was sitting there thinking about this week and I'm like, what am I gonna talk to my people about? And I'm thinking, and then all of a sudden I was reminded of when I lived at home with my sister the second time I went to college. That actually was culinary school too, before I dropped out, but that's a whole nother conversation. I remember me and my sister, we used to go out to eat a lot. We're foodies, we were young, we had money. We're like, what can we do to pass our times? Let's eat out everywhere. I noticed very early on eating out everywhere. My sister, whenever we would eat out, or a lot of times when we would eat out, she would take a few bites and then she would ask for a box and pack up her stuff and bring it to the house. And finally I asked her, why do you do that? Why do you not eat your food at the restaurant? And she would say, I want to be served, but these people don't know how to season their food. They don't know how to make it taste good. So I'm spending all this money to come home and the food not taste good. So I just decided I'm gonna buy the food so I can go out with my friends and my family. And when I get home, I'm just gonna have you make the food taste better. And I was like, wow. So in thinking about this week, that came to mind. I hadn't thought about it in years. Y'all, the single most important resource I have as a chef is salt. I can't tell you how many places that I've been and the food was prepared right. The service was great, but then the food comes out, you know, we're feeling good. Maybe we've had a glass of wine or two. The ambiance is right. My wife feels good. I feel good. My sister feels good, whoever. And then we take a bite of the food and then we're like, because the food don't taste good, primarily they didn't put no seasoning on the food and primarily it was not salted properly. So today we're gonna be with you just for a few minutes. We're gonna talk about salting food. This is what I'm gonna do. I have 2 chicken thighs. I have a little bit of vegetable oil in this pan, in this bowl, I'm sorry. And what I'm gonna do, I have my pan heating up behind me. I'm gonna take one of these thighs and I'm gonna season it with salt. And I'm gonna take one of these thighs and I'm gonna cook it plain. I challenge you to do this same exact experiment at home. So we have the chicken thighs. I'm gonna season one of them. And I'm not gonna season the other. I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna cook these chicken thighs off, and then we're gonna get right back with you and talk about it. Here I got my chicken thighs, I got the salted one, and I got the non-salted one. I got my pan over here, you've heard me say before, keep the pan, get it hot. You know, and there's a little bit of oil in here. We're gonna lay this chicken thighs down. I hope you guys can hear that. That's the sizzle. Whenever you're frying in a frying pan, if you don't hear that sizzle, you ain't cooking. So I'm gonna brown these off, cook them real fast, and then we're gonna do a little bit of an experiment, me and my guys. All right, guys, we got this chicken cooked off. So we got it here in the pan. It's nice golden brown. We're gonna do a little experiment. Here's the first piece of chicken. I'm gonna cut it up. Make sure, guys, you always want to cook chicken to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want to give nobody nothing they don't want, trust me. All right. So what we're gonna do is, Joe, I'm gonna hand a piece of this chicken off to my guy, Joe. We're gonna ask Joe what he thinks about this chicken. Joe, it tastes great, don't it?
Not really.
It don't really taste good. Why it don't taste good, Joe? It don't taste good. Joe ain't lying. Why don't it taste good, Joe?
It's kind of bland.
Just bland. Okay, me too. That's the chicken you give to your cat. Second piece of chicken here. Joe, I want you to tell me what you think about this chicken. It's hot. Don't burn yourself, Joe.
That tastes good.
It tastes good. It tastes better.
Much better.
What tastes better about it, Joe? What's it taste like is on it?
Salt.
It tastes like salt.
But it like enhances the flavor of the chicken.
You taste the chicken more naturally. I've even had people tell me, Joe, that when I've done the same exact test in my kitchens to help train my chefs on how to season their food. And I asked them, typically Joe's getting a little, you know what I'm saying, courtside advantage or something like that because he knows it ain't no seasoning on the chicken. But typically I don't tell my staff that. I let them just taste the bad chicken first, the plain chicken. And then it's amazing. I let them taste the salted chicken. It's amazing the stuff I hear. Chef, what you put on this? You put some lemon on? I taste lemon and the garlic. Ain't nothing on that chicken but salt. But it's amazing just using the salt for its purpose to enhance the flavor will make people in their head start thinking they tasting all sorts of stuff they ain't tasting, especially when you taste it directly compared to a piece of protein that was not seasoned at all. I'm not doing this episode to be funny. I'm not doing this episode because I think I know more than most, but I do know this. When you call yourself a culinarian, when you call yourself a chef, when you call yourself a cook, you have the responsibility to then make your product look and taste good and present it in a healthy and sanitary way. There's no excuse for food to be unseasoned or underseasoned. Every kitchen has salt. Every kitchen has pepper. I personally think, if I really had to say it, I personally think salt and pepper are synonymous. I need them both in my kitchen, but there are more cases where you don't necessarily need the pepper, but you will always need the salt, barring any kind of health condition where you need to limit or cut your salt out. So here's the thing. When using salt, I have found the best way to use it is in layers. So when I'm preparing, say for this example, we use chicken. When I'm preparing chicken, when I take the chicken out the package and I clean it and I get it ready and I season it, typically there will be the first layer of salt. Then when it hits the pan, it may get another layer of salt or salt product. When I say salt product, I mean things like, say if you use soy sauce or any other kind of sauce or butter, things that are salted as well, that's another layer of salt. The last layer of salt I typically leave for the consumer. So the goal here is always to salt your food, but not over salt it. Remember, you can always add more salt, but you can't take it away. The dance is figuring out where that line is. My food is not undersalted, underseasoned, but it also tastes good. And then if somebody needs to adjust the salt for their personal taste, let them do that. Whatever the salt is you're using, make sure you use it properly. Don't be scared of it. And just learn. When you're doing big pieces of anything or big batches of anything, don't be afraid to use generous amounts of salt. Again, while still thinking, don't oversalt, don't salt too much. You don't want to ruin a dish. Y'all, for what we do, I'm talking about salt. It's a foundational key element to everything I do as a chef. It's there with me, just like my knives, just like the ingredients. And quite honestly, I don't salt my food properly. The knife skills, the prettiness, all the time in the world to prepare it, none of that matters if the food is not seasoned properly to begin with. So like I said, we're talking about culinarians right now, but y'all, even if you're not a chef, even if you're not a cook, this principle applies to you too. This is an entrepreneurship station or channel. Figure out and learn for your craft, for what you do. What are the foundational key things that make your craft, make your service work? And whatever those things are, hone in on them, hone in on them, hone in on them. That's what makes you a master. That's what sets you apart, along with some other things. Y'all, you know, at the Eating Chambers channel, our goal is one thing and one thing only. I just want to educate you, I want to excite you, and I want to empower you to walk into culinary entrepreneurship, to walk into entrepreneurship on your terms. Thank you guys for being with us this week. I hope this did a little bit for you. Be sure to like, subscribe, do all the things so we can keep bringing you this content, and we'll see you next time. Take care.